Captain, enemy ships decloaking off of port bow.
They're charging weapons.
Shields up. Red alert.
They're firing!
Containment failure detected. Warp core breach imminent.
Welcome to Warp Core Breach, Episode 10. On this episode, Nick and David wrap up the reinforcement boosters, top 10 style. Griffin finds himself in a deadlock. Natasha returns from a year of hell. The faction report joins up with some freedom fighters, and we all sit around the table and discuss our top Federation ships.
Warning. Warp core breach detected.
Not again. I'm David Montgomery, and here's my co-host, the Kirk to my Spock.
I'm Nick Norris. Welcome to our 10th episode of Warp Core Breach. There's a lot of 10s going around lately, and I'm sure the tension is mounting. We've just recently covered 10 new blind boosters that David has been able to show to all of us, and there's a lot of exciting new developments that these ships bring to us. So let's talk about that.
Yeah, so we decided we wanted to rank them, like any good top 10 list. I think ultimately what I found, and I don't know if it's true for you, Nick, but there's not really a terrible blind booster here.
Not entirely, no.
There's some that maybe don't suit my play style.
Mm-hmm.
But every one here is something that I want to either fly as a blind booster, or I want to add to my fleet because I want to have it for constructed play.
Exactly. Where it would be weak in one situation, it would be strong in another, or vice versa. Every ship and pack, at least, in this collection belongs somewhere.
Absolutely agree. Maybe not every single card, but something fits in somewhere.
Yeah, each pack has enough merit in it to be worthy.
So without further delay, let's talk about our number 10.
Well, that must begin with one of my favorite factions. Unfortunately, that would be the IRW Belak. It's a tank. It's great for that. It can take a lot, but it can't hit the broadside of a barn, in my opinion.
Yeah, same for me. And that's going to surprise people. I know everybody's going, oh, Bajorans. And you know what? We'll get to that. But for me, Romulans, yeah, they're cool. They've got a great cloaking device. That'll help in constructed. We're looking at this stuff just from a blind booster perspective. The Romulan blind booster, yeah, you're going to have a tough time killing it. Maybe not, because, who knows what happens with defense dice. But it's 3 attack dice and you get no quality there.
Exactly. On average, it's probably just going to get ignored on the table.
Yeah. So, number 9.
I would have to go for the Vulcan Saleya. Interesting ship, reasonable durability, but it just doesn't feel like as a blind it's going to be able to accomplish very much.
Yeah, it's got some neat tricks. I love what they're doing with discarding shields, disabling shields. Like, that's really cool.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that it's one that says, hey, this helps out Vulcans. Do more with it once you own it.
Oh yeah, like I'm going to have some fun with this in a Vulcan build later, but as a blind it doesn't support victory.
Yeah, plus there's only one way to build it exactly to 40 points, and
yeah, it's not close to the ideal.
Exactly. So if you're going to have that, I'm kind of sitting there and going, well, I don't mind building short. Right? I got to build short for other blinds, and I'm perfectly fine with that.
Mm-hmm.
But this, if I'm not fitting in the best cards, then I'm kind of going, why bother?
Yeah.
Number 8. I think we line up again here.
Yeah, the perfect number 8 is the Bajoran Interceptor 8.
We didn't even plan that, but that's a happy accident.
Yeah, it's not an end-all be-all. It's not the winning ship. It's not even a mid-level, but it's a great kamikaze glass cannon. That's both its strength and its weakness.
I do mean what I say in my review video. This is a ship I look forward to trying out, putting all the stuff on it, and seeing what I can do with it.
Absolutely.
If it goes boom, so be it. And if I can make something go boom in the process, then I'm going to have a great time with it.
Oh, and you'll have one hell of a story to tell.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost impossible to one-shot some of the really big ships with this ship. But you know what? I can chew through their shields, and I can start putting hits on their hull. And if I do that, I've got a decent shot to put some crits on them. And they're going to be sorry for it.
Well, yeah, and at a captain skill of 6, being able to throw potentially like 9 dice, it's got a great finishing move. So like one of your early ships could weaken one ship, and then this guy can finish it off.
Yeah, so the Bajorans, one that I moved up because of fun.
Yeah, I can't argue with you there.
All right, so number 7. This is where we finally diverge a little bit. What's your pick here?
The Ferengi Nunks Marauder. It's an interesting ship from a blind point of view, but it's something that has a 3 attack value, maxing out at 4. Even with the little bit of fun shenanigans it's got, it just doesn't make it a strong contender for me.
Yeah, I definitely understand that. It's one of those packs, again, I move it up because I think that it's got the right kind of framework. I think that the cards have some very interesting potentials. Maybe it's that I'm under the allure of the new shiny and how it really does change the game.
Yeah, but it's highly conditional, and that's really what it comes down for ranking it for me, is in the right situation, if you pull this ship and your opponent plays a particular fleet, this would be a very good one to have, like particularly the weapon ports and, a fighter squadron on the other side of things. But without the right combination on both your side and theirs, I just see it falling a bit flat. And that's in a blind situation. Constructed, I can't wait to play with this.
Oh yeah. Even in a blind situation, I can see Captain Nunk being playable. He's not going to be everything, but he's going to be there.
Oh yeah.
So there's some solid stuff.
So rightly placed as like a third string.
I'll beg to differ. I'll call it a second string, but we can talk about that.
Well, I mean like third string to your other 2 lead ships in your fleet.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
My number 7 is the Dominion, the Aldara. And the only thing that dropped it down for me was really the lack of a cohesive pack. Right, everything's kind of pulling it in a different direction.
Yeah. And that's actually my next one for my number 6. And main reasons for that is its poor maneuverability and it's very action heavy.
Yeah, anytime you've got a bunch of different cards saying action, 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 it's cool because you're not going to use them all at once, and you've got the ability to pick and choose how you're doing things, but the ship may or may not be around to fully get everything out of it.
Yeah, it doesn't have a logical flow from one action to the next on successive turns.
Yeah, and that's a problem. It's by no means a bad ship.
No.
I think the named ability is quite interesting.
Oh, indeed. I'm looking forward to that as well for Constructed. Like, each of these boosters just tickles me as the possibilities once it reaches the Constructed level.
Yeah, absolutely. And Gul Jassad is a nice, solid captain. No bones about that. It's just, hey, for me, something had to be down here. You got to make a pick somewhere. So, Dominion fell short.
Oh, yeah. But they're making a good go of it.
Yeah. So your number 6 was Dominion. My number 6 is Mirror. Loved seeing a Vorcha class.
Oh, everybody's dream come true 50%.
Yes. I opened it up, right, and I had an inkling that there was a Vorcha class there, and I didn't know that it was Mirror, so I see a Vorcha, and I'm like, wait a minute, is this Klingon? And I go, oh, it's Mirror, and I'm going, oh no.
Yeah.
But
it's Mirror. I love Mirror faction.
I know.
And getting another Vorcha, even in this limited fashion, I'm still excited.
Yeah. And the thing for me that drove it down, low captain skill, though a skill 3 captain with a talent slot definitely has some uses.
Oh, absolutely.
But again, another pack that doesn't really seem to have full cohesion and doesn't fully mix with the rest of Mirror.
Yeah, it doesn't follow the usual theme.
Yeah, there's nothing with stealing, and there's nothing really with auxiliary power.
Yeah.
Which are two of Mirror's big things. So,
well, there is with the named ship. You know, you action, place a scan token and an auxiliary power token beside your ship. And the ship, by its nature, can't do a scan, so it's a way to load up on 4 actions.
It's there. Like, I think it's a good, solid blind booster. But I couldn't move it any higher than number 6.
So, David, what's your number 5 on the list?
Well, my number 5 is Kazon. And, of course, we all love the banana boat.
Yeah, I do.
And the Kazon is a solid blind booster. Good captain skill, good synergy, all the things that you love about it that makes it higher on your list. But for me, there's just something that's missing from it to make it super great. And I can't put my finger on it. So that's what knocked it down for me.
I'd buy that.
Yeah. But, you know, after playing it, it may move up because that's what happened with the Rolaris Sinker.
I love that one. That, as I mentioned before on the show, it was one of my top pulls for the Resistance is Futile blind packs.
Yes, same here. And I didn't think a ton of it going in. So who knows, right? I am fully willing to say that the Nistrum Culla may surprise me and I end up playing it and I love it, or I end up playing it and it moves down. And I'm okay with that. But right now, first impressions, number 5, willing to say, hey, solid ship. Think it's going to be good. Don't know that it's great. Don't know that it's bad. Just, hey, it's there. All right. Number 4. What do you got for us?
Well, I went for the Federation USS Lakota. Like, I'm a big fan of Federation, and this ship just has a lot of potential. It's not exactly the top tier for a blind, but it's getting there.
Yeah, totally with you there. The Lakota's got the right kind of stuff. The weapon gets it up to a 4 attack die. It's got some interesting synergy. It doesn't let you play everything that's in the pack. It's got a little bit of room for customization, not everything you need. But it's one of those packs that's going to help you a lot more in Constructed.
It sure has that Excelsior feel to it, both in the ship itself, of course, and the cards.
Absolutely. So I'm super excited to pull the Lakota. I think that anytime I see it, I'm going to go, hey, I got a great shot of winning a tournament because I've got a solid blind booster with me. I may be overvaluing it a little bit, but I'm okay with that.
Yeah, like as a blind booster, it's not something that I find is going to be overly epic. It's going to be effective, especially given that it's got the Federation standard of evade, target lock, scan, battle station. And the battle station as a standard option is really what sets it apart from the majority of the ships below it.
I'll buy that.
What about your number 4, David?
Well, I took Nunk's Marauder.
I
know you're probably going to call me crazy that I put it up this high, right? It is a Ferengi ship after all. But, you know, something about it screams to me Sleeper. Surprise ship. And maybe I'm totally off base here. And maybe I'm going to play it and I'm going to be dead wrong. And I'm going to be okay with that. Because if I'm going to overestimate something, I'd rather it be Ferengi because I don't want to underestimate it and be surprised by it.
So you're hedging your bets.
I'm hedging my bets a little bit here.
Yeah.
So anyways, the cards on this pack just look fun. And I think I can make some solid stuff happen with it. And again, I'm going to feel like I've got a shot, and I'm going to feel like I've got the answers to my meta. And that's, I think Nunk's Marauder is one of those things that it's going to depend on your play area. Some people are going to love it. Some people aren't going to find it very useful at all.
Right.
So that brings us to number 3.
Well, this one's going to surprise a lot of people, I'm sure. But my number 3 is 8472, the Bioship Omega. And in part, that's due to the low captain skill. By the time it comes around to its turn, it may not even have much of a chance because people might decide to just focus hard on that, take it out.
I grant you that, but if any ship is capable of taking a pounding short of Borg, it is a bioship.
Oh, for sure.
So that is the one ship I actually think can hang in there. And the thing that I think gives the bioship a lot of playability is that you have a ton of options in a very small amount of cards that are going to give it the flexibility you need to adapt to a lot of the different OP events.
I'll definitely give you that.
So, we'll see. I want to believe that other blinds are better than Species, or at least on the same level as Species, and I'm glad somebody is willing to stand up and take that opinion.
Yeah. And what would you place in your number 3 spot?
That would be the Klingon blind booster.
Mm.
I like it. I really do like it. I think that the community's undervaluing it a little bit.
Agreed.
I think that maybe it's not the named ship. Maybe it's not the captain so much, although I do think Duras has some potential. But I think the pack as a whole just works together. I think that its Klingons played a little differently. These aren't your cloaked fire, cloak fire, etc. Klingons. You have to play them a little bit different. But if you're willing to adapt those standard tactics just a little bit, this is a pack that's going to surprise some people.
Oh, indeed. And I've been looking forward to another Cavort for a while.
Yes, absolutely. Like, I saw the model and I'm going, oh no, please don't be a Burrell. And I'm glad it wasn't, right? If it wasn't going to be a Vorcha, I'm glad it was a Cavort. Could have been a Negvar, but hey. Cavort's a good way to go.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting that the picture on the Baroque ship card is essentially in the same flight pattern as Chang's Bird of Prey. So if you wanted to mix it up a little bit, you can even use that model for this ship, and it'll match your card.
Yeah, and as long as you tell people what's going on, nobody's going to say anything.
Yeah, bottom line, you need the right base plate on your base, stating it's the Baroque, and you're good.
Yeah, models are just fun.
Yeah.
All right, number 2 time. You only got 2 choices left. So, what's there?
Well, I'm bringing mine back to the Kazon Banana Boat. Only this time it's not yellow. It's more copper gold. But it's a decent ship that's got lots of durability. It's got the ability to throw a little bit of damage around. And some extra funky fun. Like photonic charges, you can throw out an auxiliary power token. And, nothing says lovin' like saying, you can't do nothing.
Yeah, there's nothing bad about the Kazon. I think they're solid, and you can't go wrong when you see them.
Mm-hmm. And it did well in Resistance is Futile, like I mentioned earlier, so I'm hoping it will come through for us again this time round.
I sure think so.
Especially with scenarios for OPs. Well, what about your number 2?
Well, my number 2 was your number 4, and that is the Lakota. And again, I'll echo what I said there. I think it's solid. I think you've got some neat shenanigans there with a little bit of movement, extra firepower. It's going to be good. It may not be number 2 good, but I'm willing to say, hey, it's solid. You're not going to get one shot with it. You're always going to have a shot with the ship. Captain skill drags it down a little bit, so maybe I'm overestimating, but again, I like what the pack does, both in a blind booster and in terms of constructed, so it's a good solid ship.
A ship with potential.
Yes. Alright, so now we have the number 1s, and if you're keeping track, you know what those are. But the reasonings, especially Nick's reason, that's what I'm here for.
Well, my number 1, I chose the IKS Baroque, the Klingon Cavort that you had in your 3rd slot. Now, one of the main reasons why I chose this guy is it's got good defensibility. It's a solid ship. It's got 8 hit points, essentially, and it can deal some damage. It has the ability to cloak for its defense. It's got built-in ability. Its targeting systems, you can get a free target lock. It's got a decent 6-skill captain with elite talent, your ambush attack, your dishonorable tactics. It's got a lot of options that you can just throw different things in your enemy's face and just mess with them. That's one thing the Klingons are really good at, is just fear. So if you don't know what's coming, or if you don't know how to deal with it, we're just going to charge in, screaming and yelling, and do our best to take you down.
More blood wine for everyone.
Glory to you and your house.
Alright, Gowron, that's enough. All right, and of course, my number one, Species 8472. I'm taking the lame cop-out answer, and I know it. You guys can give me all the flack you want, but until someone shows me otherwise or proves otherwise, I really think this is the blind booster to beat. I think that pure stats, you're going to have a hard time doing anything to beat this. And you know what? Maybe there's some bad matchups. I don't think this is quite as adaptable to certain scenario play as some of the other boosters, and maybe that'll come back to haunt it. But I think from a pure just joust perspective, this is the ship you want.
Well, yes, it can throw a lot of dice, but whether or not it can achieve quality is a question. It's durable as heck, so it'll last long enough to be able to try again and again, and that's really a good strength. Now, the reason why I didn't pick it for my number one is mostly because it doesn't really lend itself to a blind booster. You don't have much room to put a variety of things on it. But I am very grateful that they gave us some low-cost cards so that we can change that up a little bit, not only in the blind, but also in constructed. So even though the name ship is at 38 points with only 2 points to go, you can throw a captain and another card on, or go generic captain and throw 2 cards on. Because we've got, 3 cards that are 0.1?
Yes, plus the captain.
Plus the captain, yeah. So you got 4 1-point cards, and you've got a 2-point card and a 4-point card. With the name ship at 38 points, that gives you 2 points to spare. You drop it down to the generic, and you've got 4 points to spare, which allows you to use any one of the cards in this set, at least.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Flexibility. And you know what? I sat back and I thought about it, and I came to a conclusion. If they had put a Borg sphere in a blind booster, 40 named, 38 generic, and given me a couple of 1-point upgrades to put on the generic, I would have taken it.
Oh, absolutely. It would have been heavenly. And especially if it had the option to square off against the chance of pulling against Bioship Omega in the blinds. That's 2 strong contenders.
But they didn't, and musings are great, but the reality is we got what we got, and what we have here is awesome.
Oh, absolutely. Like, getting 10 unique ships from blind set is epic. Like, we've had doubles of 5 before. Now we're getting 10 completely unique. It's going to change things up. The odds of pulling the same ship time and time again are going to be pretty low. So my buddy Jason, when he pulled 5 of the Dominion bugs, he's not going to have to worry about that happening anymore.
And if he does, he probably has trading partners.
That's for sure. There's enough of us here that we're all going to want a good variety of ships.
Indeed. And I know for me, I'm coming at this with a slightly different perspective, that I already have all of them sitting here. But I will say that between Natasha and myself, I think we're looking to try to get somewhere in the neighborhood of 4 Lakotas, probably about 3 or 4 Bioship Omegas, several more of several others. So there are no bad ships here. There really aren't.
Oh, agreed.
There are some that I probably don't want outside of the blind boosters because I already have one. So those I'm going to use for, giving to other players, or, prize support for various contests between the Shipyard, Warp Core Breach, stuff like that. It's just fun, right? That's what this game has done. And I know that blind boosters aren't for everyone, but the fun that's been generated surrounding these things, the thinking, the ingenuity, the way this game has changed with 10 boosters is insane. I mean, this is like getting 3 months worth of stuff at once.
Mind you, it can also be spread out over the next year, as is the plan.
Yes.
So, with the exception of people like you who get it all in one lump, the rest of us will have to sort of work at it over time through multiple OPs.
Of course.
But before we get too far, one thing I wanted to mention that I've actually mentioned in one of my reviews, I believe it was the Bioship Omega review, is that I'm very grateful that we're getting more significant card count per pack of non-unique cards. So there's more chance of us wanting to have multiples of these ships for the cards. Like, you've got some great ships, like USS Voyager was epic, but pretty much everything's unique. So with the odd exception, it's like, oh, I want to get a couple transphasics. So you're buying a whole new ship and set for virtually one card.
Yeah.
But we're not getting that with these. We're getting anywhere from 2 to 3 to 4 or even 5 non-unique cards in one pack.
Well, and that's what makes it really cool. And of course, I'd be remiss if I talked about blind boosters and I didn't mention this. And this isn't just because WizKids tells me to do this, but the paint jobs on these things.
I know.
Once you guys see them in person, you'll get it. Like, the pictures don't do them justice.
Buy David a new camera.
Yeah. David's buying a camcorder probably by the time this episode drops. David's bank account is broke. The models are gorgeous. And these are ships that you will put on the table and fly them.
Absolutely.
Because they look even better than what they are. And I know some people are like, okay, I don't like the translucent of the Romulans. And that's fine. Right?
You have more choices now. That's the key.
And I get that. But gold Bioship, a gold Ferengi Marauder, a gold Galler class. Like
the metallic Excelsior.
Yeah, and I know some people don't like gold or the metallic Excelsior because it's an era thing. I get that, but then that's a personal style.
I know people that have already painted their Fed ships that tone. I
know. I did a silver Sharpie Excelsior and I did a side-by-side picture and it's almost the same.
Well, it's like my custom paint job of the Kazon Predator. It's virtually identical to the one they did.
Yeah, and some of the boosters, like the Vulcan, you can't tell too much of a difference. It does look different, and in some ways it looks better. Some ways it looks not as good. I won't say worse. It's a personal style. Artwork is always personal. Mm-hmm. So you get these things and you'll be able to make the call for yourself. And that, that's the cool thing here, right? This is similar to what X-Wing did with the like Aces packs where they did different paint jobs on the ships.
Yeah, the Scum and Villainy.
Yeah, well, and they did like a Rebel thing where they did a blue A-Wing and a blue B-Wing and stuff like that. And, not to get into X-Wing, but it's just...
differentiation.
It's differentiation. It's personal style. I know tons of people repaint their ships anyways. And you know what? You'll still probably do that anyways here. But these ships, I don't feel any need to repaint them.
Agreed.
And I've been feeling that way for the last couple of waves. There's some here and there I want to touch up and whatnot.
Yeah. Maybe add a couple details.
Yeah. Add a couple of details. WizKids has stepped up their game. And that needs to be applauded. So, you guys, when you get these models, take pictures of your games. Love on these models.
Show them off.
Yeah, show them off. Put them up on Board Game Geek. Put them up on the community. Put them up on WizKids' Facebook page and say thank you. Like, overwhelm them with support and say, you know what? What you guys did was awesome. Do more like that. Like... That's how you affect change. You affect change with positive. And say like, hey, what you did was great. That's what keeps people doing what they do.
Yeah, if you want to see more of something a particular way, you feed it more of what you want to see, like the golden rule. If you notice that you want more of something, but you're going to be insulting or you're going to say, no, I don't like this, you're focusing on what you don't want. How is that going to lead things to what you do want? So if you want to affect change, you focus on the positive. You focus on what is already good and how to make it better. because that is how you encourage them to do more, to do better, because they see that you like it and they're more likely to want to help you out.
Well, I think that's a great note to end our discussion on blind boosters. Thank you guys for listening to that. Let us know what you think about blind boosters. I've got a survey going around, so you can find that on the Warp Core Breach Facebook page, on Board Game Geek, on the Shipyard. It's out there. If you guys take a moment of your time to fill that out, it helps with some future projects, so thank you for doing that. If you don't want to, don't have the time, don't worry about it.
Good evening, and welcome to the Faction Report, the segment that brings you the inside scoop on all the factions. We'll show you how they really work, expose their weaknesses, find innovative combinations, and help you make them work better. And now here's your host, the man who is not Picard, David Walton.
Hi everyone, I'm continuing my look at the minor factions of Star Trek Attack Wing today by doing everything for the profits, and not necessarily in a Ferengi way. I'm going to take a look at the Bajorans. Bajorans are a faction that for a long time has been derided as being the worst faction in the game, possibly competing with Kazons for that particular honour. And certainly when the blind booster for Bajorans was released, I think a lot of people were a little bit disappointed with the blind booster because it didn't really have anything in it that would allow you any kind of flexibility. I think the cards in the blind booster for Bajorans are great, but I'm not going to talk about them today. All I wanted to do was just give a look at what the kind of identity for the Bajoran faction was, pretty much like I did last time with the Vulcans. Bajorans have a lot of very small ships. The Acherum and Natasha are both the Bajoran scout ships, and then there's Interceptor 5, the Interceptor. None of their ships come out with anything approaching a lot of survivability in terms of hull and shields. The Bajoran Interceptor has no shields, and I think that's something that would drag people down. Now, there is Deep Space Nine, and Deep Space Nine gives you 8 hull and 8 shields, and is a Bajoran faction ship, sort of ship. There is potential there, but if you're playing in the 50.3 ship meta, you can only take one Deep Space Nine, which means you're going to have to take, if you're playing Fleet Pure, one of the other ships, 2 of the other ships in fact. Now, the Natasha is a pretty good ship. Certainly if you want to get any kind of dice efficiency on your ship, it's potentially a great ship to have. It gives you, if you're within range 1 of another ship, a free battle stations token. That's it, just a free battle stations token, which leaves the ship action to do whatever you want with. If you've got the Bajoran Militia upgrade, which is by far and away the best crew upgrade that the Bajorans have available to them, why not take that? That takes, along with the Assault Vessel upgrade, a primary weapon value 3 ship, 2 for the basic, 1 with the Assault Vessel upgrade, but with the Bajoran Militia potentially up to 6 with battle stations, and another ship, or another captain that the Bajoran faction has that's really, really good, Kira Nerys. She can give that ship a target lock for free. So you could have really good dice efficiency on a 6 dice attack. Yes, it's on a very, very fragile platform, but with the right set of upgrades you can actually do quite a lot of damage. The other scout ship, the Acherum, perhaps not as good. It has an ability that really requires you to take a evade every single turn. And there is one captain, Linaris Holem, that would also encourage you to take an evade every single turn. But given how fragile your ships are, and given that defense dice don't tend to be that great in terms of keeping a ship alive, it almost seems wrong to build what should be a glass cannon fleet as a fleet designed to evade stuff. So I would take the Acherum for the extra shield. I always think 2 points for an extra hit point is a good trade-off to make if you've got the points, but you may not want to. As for Interceptor 5, ship's name's ability is alright, and I figure you may as well take it because it costs the same as the generic anyway. As for captains, other than Kira Nerys, there are 2 versions of Kira Nerys. Take the one that came with the Acherum prize pack because it's just better than the other version. But apart from Kira Nerys, the captains that you have, some are great in terms of being able to provide you with a high captain skill. Some are better because of the abilities they offer. Krim, for example, gives you the option of an extra crew, which is really useful as far as getting those extra Bajoran militia cards onto your ship go. But his other ability, which allows you to reroll defense dice based on the damage your ship's hull has taken, is limited simply because Bajorans don't have much hull. Other than that, Captain Dekanu, again, another card that will help to boost your attack efficiency, something Bajorans don't seem to have a lot of issue with. Taking Dekanu does stop you from taking Crew Dekanu, but that's not the greatest problem in the game. So, to sum up, with Bajorans, I would always aim to run ships that hit really hard, because you're not going to be around for long. So go for the hard-hitting ships, go for the upgrades, like Kira, like the Ratosha, like Bajoran Militia, that allow you to get good quality, high dice attacks, and make the most of that manoeuvrability. There are not many factions that have white come-about manoeuvres, and I was able, in an OP event I was playing in last weekend, I was able to outmaneuver a bioship, and as a result of having outmaneuvered the bioship, kill it. That doesn't happen very often, because the bioship is one of the more manoeuvrable ships in the game. So make the most of that manoeuvrability, get a high-quality attack, stay out of arc, and maybe you can have some success with the Bajorans. Thanks a lot for listening. I'm not Picard.
And here's Natasha with Dude, It's Just a Game. A perspective on Star Trek Attack Wing from someone who isn't completely obsessed.
Hey everyone, it's Natasha. Thanks for listening. Did you guys miss me last week? David and I didn't get a chance to record, so we have a ton to talk about today.
One could say it's been a year of hell.
It has been a year of hell, but really just a day. We did a tournament on Saturday.
Yeah, and that went better for one of us than the other. Natasha, would you care to enlighten people which one of us that was?
You know, they're all thinking it's you, because you haven't lost a tournament.
Oh, wait. Yeah, Q3.
Anyway, so about that. No, so I actually won the tournament. I went 3-0 for the first time in a while. And I had a lot of fun doing it. Shout out to Joe for coming to the tournament and letting me beat him up. It's real fun.
Yes, and by the way, folks, that's a legitimate 3-0, not a bye 3-0.
I know. I had to play 3 rounds and try not to cry for 3 whole hours. It's great. So, Year of Hell is one of the most interesting OPs I think we've ever played. And for the first time in a while, I willingly took Cloaked Minds, which made other people, including Joe, very sad. But it was a scenario that Cloaked Minds immediately came to mind.
Yeah, of course, anytime you're in a small, narrow corridor, Cloaked Minds are going to come into play. But there was something a lot more unique about your build, wasn't there?
Oh yeah, I'm going to surprise everybody with my central faction.
Was it Federation?
No, I flew fighters, but that's about it.
But you had Captain Picard.
I did.
And Ahab Picard, not Starter Picard. Was it Borg?
It was not. That was not my main central faction, although I did fly a Borg octahedron.
I know. Ferengi.
Yeah, no. However, it's almost as unbelievable as Ferengi. That's right, folks. I successfully flew a fleet based around the Bajoran. So, I'm still quite surprised myself. It came about kind of interestingly. David and I were teaching a friend of ours to play the game, because David can't stop recruiting people to the madness. And we decided to play a 3-player game. Well, they were just going to play by themselves, but then I was bored, so I'm like, let me play. And David said, well, if you want to play...
You have to play Bajoran or Dominion. And
I was like, I've never actually looked at or flown Bajoran. It's an overlooked faction. So I was like, okay. And I actually found there's a lot of interesting cards in the Bajoran faction. There's a lot of annoying cards and not good and weirdly worded cards, but there's also a lot of interesting and fun cards in the Bajorans. So I didn't win in that 3-player game. However, we did take you out first.
Yeah, my mirror fleet was not quite up to snuff.
So David flew Mirror and our friend flew Species, which is the only reason that I wasn't playing Species, because, I love Species. But in playing the Bajoran, I found that it was really interesting, and I said, you know what? I really want to play that better, where I can faction mix and really amp it up a little. It's a great base, but it needs a few things. And so when David and I were reading over the description for Year of Hell, I thought, the Bajoran are extremely maneuverable and they have white come-abouts. So they could just sit in the corner and fly around by themselves and be fine. I was like, who else can sit around in the corner and fly around by themselves? Borg comes to mind, and that's when I had the idea for the Cloaked Mines. Well, actually, I think you suggested Cloaked Mines first. I don't remember.
I think I may have, but then it was that, and you said I want fighters, so
Right.
So basically it was the fleet that could come about or sit there and shoot and just basically wall up, and you told people, all right, come to me.
Right. And I flew it extremely successfully 3 times. Although, you took Cloaked Mines too, so when I played you, which was the championship match, which who could ask for better than playing a championship match against their significant other? I mean, that's not nerve-wracking or distracting at all.
No, we just wrote, dude, it's just a game on the table.
Yeah.
And
This is totally fine. And then he conceded victory to me, so it was fine.
No, folks, I tried to concede victory to her, and she did not take my handshake. She refused it. She said, and I quote, "No, I want to table you."
I did not table him, but I had a lot of fun trying.
So I was the only person all day who killed one of her ships.
Yeah, that was unfortunate. The Bajoran ship is the one he took out. So, yes, it was vulnerable, but I knew that going in. That's why I had to have the Borg to counteract it. And this fighters. I love Fighter Squadron 6. It is a perfect, it's not a ship, but it's a perfect thing to take in a build for somebody who's not extremely strategic in maneuvering, because it can take a lot of hits. You can roll 9 attack dice against it, it's fine. And it has enough tokens it lives. So that's pretty much my favorite thing to take right now.
Yeah, and I think it encountered my Cloaked Mines once, and of course I rolled 1 hit, so it only lost the shields. I'm just crying.
I had a lot of really good dice luck in that tournament. Although I did have the one time that it was not lucky. So, those who don't know, Year of Hell is the wave is coming after you, and if you're in the wave's path, you have to roll 4 dice against yourself, and hits and crits hit your ship as hits and crits, and blanks and battle stations also do stuff, but I rolled 3 battle stations and a blank, so all that happened was he took a bunch of Ox tokens, and I was sad.
Yeah, my Praetus was down to 1 health.
Oh yeah.
And last turn of the game, time has essentially been called, and she rolls any hits or crits, and it goes boom, she tables me, and nope, 4 blanks and battle stations, and we're like, yes! And there were some people playing a board game across the room, and they just look over, and they're like, what is going on with you guys? And we're just like, dude, it's just a game.
Whatever. No, there was screaming involved, and if those who don't know me, which is mostly everybody, if I'm screaming, that's pretty bad. That really did not go the way I wanted. But other than that, it went extremely well for me, and I kicked his tail. He was actually turning his ships around and running away from me at the end, which I loved. So yeah, my fleet sounds strategic, and it flew strategically, but it was really just having fun with the game that got me to that point. And it took me a year to get to the point where I could start to see those things. So I guess for those of you that are like, oh, I could never come up with that build, you'll get there. And sometimes it's just luck playing the game and having fun, which is what we were doing. Yeah. I'm still reveling in my victory, and he's still crying a little. There's a tear on his face right now. But yeah, that was kind of what went on with me this week and everything. But so thanks everyone for listening. Really appreciate you tuning in, and I promise to record more often. But we'll see you next time. Until then, remember, I won, and dude, it's just a game.
Bring them back, Q. Now! Or what? You'll thrash me? Shall we settle this mano a mano?
That question will be answered this Sunday night as Ben Sisko defends his belt at the Deep Space Nine Super Slam. Right now, you can order this awesome pay-per-view event for just 60 bars of platinum. Order now and save 10 bars with the low, low price of just 50 bars of platinum.
Hi, this is Dave Griffin. Today we'll be discussing the mission Deadlock. This came with Fina Prime, the Vidian battlecruiser, and reenacts the Voyager episode by the same name. The forces are Independent and Federation. The most obvious Federation is, of course, Voyager in this case. The Independents have one and only one Vidian battlecruiser, named or otherwise, and you have to equip it with Vidian boarding party. The Federation has one and only one ship, 35 points. It also has 25 extra points in upgrades that it puts on a sort of makeshift sideboard. Any kind of upgrades will do as long as they add up to 25 points or less. There are also 8 mission tokens by the side of the board. Now the special rules, the Federation starts out in a 4x4 square in the center of the board, and the Vidians set up anywhere around the board edge within 4 inches of the edge. One other special rule is that when grappled, the Vidian boarding party is only disabled and not discarded. Now, the worst thing for Voyager, whatever Federation ship you choose, is that each phase, at the end phase, you take 1 token from the board edge and put it on the card, but then you also roll a red attack die. If you roll a hit or a crit, you take 1 point of damage, not a crit or a hit, just 1 point of damage to shields or hull. And if you roll a battle station or a blank, you have to discard an upgrade if you have one. The alternate reality version of Voyager in the other pocket universe has those 25 points of upgrade you've put on your makeshift sideboard. The Federation ship gains an action that it can spend that action to take 1 upgrade from that sideboard and deploy it at its ship, even if it exceeds its upgrade characteristics. So on the Independent side, there's 2 ways for the Vidians to win. They can either use Vidian boarding party to discard at least 1 crew, or they can destroy the Federation ship. Since the Federation is not obligated to take any crew, it's probably not going to win the first way. On the Federation side, it either escapes with 3 mission tokens, or it destroys the Vidian ship. So this is a problematic scenario because the Voyager has so few points. If you do use Voyager, that's 30 points right there. If you add a decent captain to give you a little quality like Spock, you're already up to 34. So that's not much to work with. And there's really not much point in spending mission tokens to grab things from the sideboard because the roll at the end of the turn is probably going to take that upgrade away from you almost before you can use it, or at least after you've used it no more than about once. So I'm advising you not to even try to take anything off the makeshift sideboard. The fact is that you're likely to place first because the Vidians have probably got the Vidian commander at least, and he's got a skill of 7. So he's probably going to place last. And the only thing to worry about is where he places his ship. If he places it behind you, which is the most obvious position, really all Voyager needs to do is run. Just go 6, that'll put you almost near the side of the board. You'll pick up a mission token. Do a turn to the left. Now you're headed toward the north end of the board. And if he's lucky, the Vidians might get a shot at you, but he's probably not going to kill you. Now, hypothermic charge has the potential for shooting through Voyager's considerable shields, but he's still got to disable it and re-enable it, so it's not going to be easy to do more than damage Voyager that way. And then on the 3rd try, just make sure you don't go off the board before you can before the end of that 3rd turn, and you'll have 3 mission tokens. And then on the 4th turn, you're gone. So what is the Vidian to do? Well, the Vidian can set up to the side, but you can run pretty effectively from the side as well. It can make you face the Vidian ship, in which case both of you are going to get a shot. And frankly, the Vidian with their hypothermic charges have a fair potential to damage Voyager pretty badly, maybe even kill it. But Voyager, with its 360 arc with an Aux token, can actually run from the Vidian and go 3 forward every time, which allows it to remove an Aux token and still keep up a continuous fire of 4 fairly high-quality dice at the pursuing Vidian. And they've got just about as much chance to win as the Vidians do. So it's likely to come down to a photo finish. The Vidians can win this, but I would say, ironically enough, even with their higher points, Voyager has something of an advantage, even if it can't really use that sideboard. And a lot depends on how those rolls go at the end of the turn. If you don't take anything from the sideboard, then if you roll battle stations and blanks, it's not going to do you any harm. And if you roll more of those, you're probably going to win. If you roll lots of hits, then it's quite possible the Vidians will kill you. But frankly, I think the advantage is on Voyager's side. At any rate, there's so many possibilities here. It's a neat scenario to play. So I'd put it at 3.5 stars and say that I think it's worth playing.
Welcome to this, the next edition of Nick's Intermix, where we look at card interactions to see which ones fizzle, which ones sizzle, which ones are stable, and which ones are volatile. In the chamber this week, Maneuvering, Part 3, Sensor Echoes. As of this recording, there are 7 key cards in Star Trek Attack Wing involving sensor echoes. 2 ships, an admiral, a captain, a crew, and 2 elite talents. Now these 7 cards, they span 5 different factions. So if you're going for ship or faction here, you may have some limitations on how to mix these. So I'm going to start with the 3 synergistic cards that share the same faction. First up is Klingon Captain Chang, Captain Skill 7, from Chang's Bird of Prey retail pack. And his card states, during the activation phase, if your ship is cloaked, before you move, you may perform an additional sensor echo action, with a 1 straight maneuver template as a free action. If you do so, you may still perform a normal sensor echo action after you move during the perform action step. Now this of course requires you to start your turn cloaked, but right off the bat with Chang alone, you can sensor echo, move, and sensor echo again. That's 3 moves in one go, and all you've done is assign a captain. Let's take it a step further and add the Klingon crew Sinon, or Sinon, synonymous with something. This card states, when performing a sensor echo action, you may use a 1, 2, or 3 maneuver template. So what this tells me is whenever you're performing a sensor echo where you can normally do a 1 or a 2 straight template, even if you have an ability that says you may perform it with a 1 straight, you should be able to then substitute a 1, 2, or 3 maneuver template because it specifies that specific situation, therefore overriding the other rules. And now for the 3rd Klingon card, to give you some sensor echo goodness, is The Game is Afoot, the Klingon Elite Talent. And it states, if you initiate an attack while cloaked against a ship that does not have your ship in its forward or rear firing arcs, during the roll attack dice step of the combat phase, you may discard this card to gain +1 attack die against that ship for that attack. If you do this after you complete your attack, you may immediately perform a sensor echo action as a free action. When using these 3 cards together, you do have to keep in mind that while normally you cannot perform a sensor echo action following another sensor echo action, Chang is the one that gives you permission to do it as an additional. Now, when it comes to The Game is Afoot, it does not state this. It merely says that you can immediately perform a sensor echo action as a free action. So, by my understanding of this, you must not have performed a sensor echo previously in that turn with that ship. That said, those 3 cards used in the right combination could be setting you up for one hell of a brutal victory. Now remember when I said you could do 3 moves in one turn by using Chang alone? Sensor echo, move, sensor echo. Now, if you're playing in a mixed environment and you want to try something extra, let's throw on the Romulan Elite Talent Double Back. And it states, after performing a sensor echo action, you may discard this card to immediately perform a reverse 1 or reverse 2 full astern maneuver. Now, this is great. Let's say you've got that on Captain Chang. Before you move, you're going to sensor echo. Then after you sensor echo, you're going to discard double back. You're going to back up 1 or 2, so you're going to essentially shifting left or right, then backing up, setting you up in a new position for where your actual move comes in, allowing you to do yet another sensor echo action following that. Now talk about maneuverability. This guy's going to rock all around. Now if you're facing an opponent that has a defined firing arc, this is the perfect way to get outside of that, get in arc for yourself to make sure that you can fire and they can't touch you. And hey, if you're in a different situation, maybe it's what you need to just get the hell out of Dodge. And that's not bad either. Next up, we have Mirror Admiral Black. He says, Fleet action. Perform a sensor echo action with a 1 straight maneuver template, even if your ship is not cloaked or does not have the sensor echo icon on its action bar. Each time you defend this round, during the modified defense dice step, you may re-roll one of your blank results. Place an auxiliary power token beside your ship. Wow. So, if you've got a Klingon ship, one that necessarily cannot stay cloaked, then you have a great action with Admiral Black to give you that sensor echo after you've fired on a previous turn without having to re-cloak. Or you can simply add it to another ship in your fleet to give it a sensor echo action. And as an added bonus, you get an extra defense die. Now, Black doesn't say that you have to be not cloaked. You can still be cloaked. And if you're cloaked and you use his ability, then you can get reroll on one of your blank cloak defense die rolls. So if you've got a 1 base for like a Klingon ship, you're adding 4 for cloak, that's 5 dice. You know, defense dice are notoriously bad for rolling evades. It's just the odds are not in your favor. So you need some sort of quality. And any chance that you can improve that quality of a defense die, especially if you're defending with a ship like a Brel that has low hit points. You've got small hull, no shields because you're cloaked. It doesn't take much to blow you away, so you want every little ounce of quality you can squeeze out of these dice to stay alive and shoot again. Now the last 2 cards that support sensor echoes are the Dominion ship Ravlerst, which is a prize ship that might be tough for some of you to get, but essentially, for an action, it gives you a sensor echo even if the ship is not cloaked and limits you to the 1 straight maneuver. But, for those of you that don't have that prize ship, we do have the independent Hirogen warship Alpha Hunter. It has essentially the exact same ability. After you move, you may perform a sensor echo action with the 1 straight maneuver as a free action, even if you are not cloaked. So, you get a ship that has one built in. Well, that's what we have for your Sensor Echo expose today. Hopefully you found it useful, even if it's only just a recap for those of you that are more experienced at this game. But it's something that gives you more to think about, as maneuverability is so critically important to success in this game. Sometimes more than how many defense dice you're going to roll. Well, I hope you've enjoyed my coverage of maneuvers in Star Trek Attack Wing. Next week on Nick's Intermix, I'll be covering a new topic. If you'd like to know more, go on to our Facebook page, Warp Core Breach Podcast, and I'll give you a teaser. I'm Nick Norris, and thank you for listening.
And now it's time for the Warp Core Breach Top 3. We count them up from 3 to 1, and then we throw it over to our contributors so that you get the best bang for your buck. This week's Top 3.
Top Federation Starship.
So as we all know, there is a cornucopia of Federation starships. You've got anywhere from a 2 attack die ship to a 5 attack die ship, range of hull, range of era. So, Nick, what's your number 3?
Well, one of my little guilty pleasures is the USS Thunderchild. And if I were to ever play multiples of them, which I have, I call them the Thunder Children, or the Thunder Siblings. It's a very cool ship that's got enough stat line to give you some survivability, some damage dealing, and some fun shenanigans. It's a cool ship. And even though it's not the usual top tier, I find I keep using it when I play Federation. So it's got to be my number 3 pick.
Yeah, the Thunderchild, great pick. Love it. Was on my short list for sure. Didn't make my top 3, but what that ship brings to the game, cool named ability, just real good stats, is turning out to be a little bit of the bane of my existence in the last couple of tournaments. I see a Thunderchild on the board and I'm like, oh great, here we go. I'm just in for a long day.
And it came with some really cool upgrades.
It did. But you know what? All of that points to being the sign of a really good ship.
Mm-hmm.
So the Thunderchild, good marks from me. Again, just because it's not on my top 3 doesn't mean it's not a good ship. If we do a top 10 there, it's on there for sure.
Well, what is your top 3, David? I'm curious.
So my number 3 is the USS Lakota. And I know you're going, wait a minute. How can you talk about a ship that only you have? That's not even fair. Well, okay, look. The named ability to give you a crit for an Ox power is really solid. The things you can do with an Excelsior class these days. You put on Sakona. You put on Type 8 phasers. You put on upgraded phasers. You put on a dorsal phaser array because that only costs you 4 points. You get all those weapons discounted. Now, right there, you're talking about a generic Sovereign class for the same points, except you have 180 degrees of fire instead of 90. And you have a named ability. That's just better. And the Lakota is a solid frame, decent maneuverability, not the best in the world, but it's enough. And from there, you still have 20 points and a crew slot and a tech slot to do whatever you want with, and you still haven't put a captain on it. So the Lakota is a ship that is going to change the way this game plays. And in building my list, I'm going, we do this again in 6, 9, 12 months, something like that. It could be number 1. It has that potential. So Nick, we have a happy lineup here, and we have the same number 2. So what is it?
The NCC 1701E. That's Enterprise E to you folks.
Yes. Now this is a ship that, for me, wasn't amazing when it first came out.
Why would that be?
Well, torpedoes on a 5-die base ship weren't great, right? Dorsal phaser array was amazing. That was a card. Loved it. But the named ability really didn't kick. Generic Sovereign, great model. Loved what it brought to the game. But the named Enterprise E was missing something. Then we got time torpedoes.
Mm-hmm.
And that is where the Enterprise E has just shot up.
Yeah, it's a really solid ship for baseline stats, but that ability, just given the lack of love for torpedoes, just it wasn't quite enough to capture. And as you said, with the advent of the Thunderchild and our time token torpedoes, it's really opened up some new possibilities there.
That's a mark of a good ship.
Mm-hmm.
Something that gets better over time. It's a fine wine.
Gets better with age?
Yes, something like that.
Well, another reason why it's a good ship is it has a decent slot count as well. 2 crew, 1 tech, 2 weapon. You can put a lot on it. And it's got some pretty decent maneuverability. You know, it doesn't have the come about, which is more prevalent in other factions, but you've got a white hard turn, and this sucker can go fast. You know, it can go up to 5 white and 6 if you want to pull that red out. So it can move.
Yeah, though I will say, there have been a lot of games lately I've been going, if only I had a reverse, I'd be good.
And it does have a 1 reverse.
So sometimes that's a maneuver that can save your butt.
Yeah. One thing I really like about those reverses is if you've got the move initiative on your enemy who you're nose to nose with, you can end up forcing them to bump you.
That is always a fun play.
Great advantage. I'm going to take your action away.
All right, number 1, bring us home.
My number 1 top pick for Federation Starship is the Prometheus, because it's a great ship. It's one of my favorite models, and it's a killer framework for building just about anything. Like, come on, it's got great stats. It's a 5145, 2 crew, 2 tech, 2 weapon. It's like, what other ship gives you that kind of options for putting whatever you want on it? You know, and it's got the same but better maneuverability than the Sovereign class. You don't even have to have that red 6 straight. It just goes 6. In addition, its own ability allows you to go even further. So it's a move machine.
Yeah, this is another one that was right there, probably my number 4 or 5. again, one I wanted to find a place for, but you can't go wrong with it. It is a great ship.
It's a solid starter for any Federation fleet.
And one that I think gets overlooked a little bit.
Yeah, now that we've revealed my number 1, and we've seen your number 3 and number 2, I'm really curious to hear what you've chosen for your top pick.
Well, I'm going out on a limb a little bit, and I'm going to be contrary. These aren't a ship. They're Fighter Squadron 6 fighters. And yes, they're good because of all the reasons that they're good.
They're fighters.
They're fighters. And, the meta's shifting. There are cards that gimp fighters. So, again, this may not be the pick in a couple of months. But right now, they're still really, really good. And I have seen them go to work. They can save your butt in a tournament, and they're just hard to kill, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's still a victory to kill fighters in a tournament because they take so long to kill in an hour.
That's changing. Thank you, Ferengi Blind Booster.
And Lakota.
Indeed.
It's the little things that are helping here. So, we'll see here, right? These lists are always subject to change, but fighters are solid, and that's not saying that any of these Federation ships are bad. I think Fed have more good ships than a lot of the other factions.
Screen time. More opportunity to expose the audience to more varieties of the lead faction of the show.
That is true. Mm-hmm. And you get abilities that are very reflective of the ships because you have that time.
More exposition.
Yes.
But on that note, we should all be very grateful for how much time and effort WizKids has put into doing their best to help flesh out the other factions that really haven't been featured as much.
Yeah, it is truly a challenge to make a good named ability for a ship you see on screen for about 3 minutes.
Or in some cases, 3 seconds.
Yeah, that one ship that shot a torpedo there, what do we want to do with it? I don't know.
You got to come up with a name. You got to come up with some crew. Are you just going to clone some tech or weapons from other stuff, or are you going to be creative? And that's one of the challenges that they face in the design process is how creative do we need or want to be with this?
Yep, but that is a discussion for episode 11, where we challenge you to design a card for the game.
Stay tuned.
But now it's time to hear from our contributors and their choice for top Federation ship.
Hi, this is Dave Griffin. Today we're going to talk about my favorite Federation ship. And since I've talked about the Sovereign as my overall favorite ship, I'll talk about another one which I've gotten to like quite a lot recently, especially playing missions, and that's the USS Prometheus. Prometheus isn't very thematic according to what we saw on television, but it is very focused on a particular idea, and that is movement. First off, it's very fast, like Voyager. Secondly, it's got some interesting maneuvers that other ships don't have, like 4 banks. And third, it's got a perk which supports this by allowing you to go effectively an extra 3 if you go forward. So it's a ship with a lot of options that are hard to predict by your enemy. Additionally, it's got a good stat line with 5 primary weapons. And I say it's pretty maneuverable. It's got a 3-turn, a 3-white turn. It lacks a 2-turn at all, and it lacks 1 banks, which is a particular problem. But if you save a space on the bridge for Admiral Forrest, you can mitigate that. It's also a ship with poor arc, so you need dorsal phaser array. So you do need a couple of cards to make it shine. But when you do, it's a really nice ship to play that really keeps your enemy guessing.
Hey everyone, it's Natasha from Dude, It's Just a Game. My top Federation ship is, well, I'm a Maverick, so I'm not choosing a ship. My top Federation thing is fighters. I really love Fighter Squadron 6 for 2 reasons. One, it's got the extra token, it's harder to kill, and in a timed 1-hour game, along with your other ships, it almost never gets taken out. But the ability is really awesome too. Once one of your other ships has gone in there and beat up your opponent's ships, then you could take your fighters in and get extra damage in on it, which is always nice. So I really enjoy playing the fighters. I don't like fighting the fighters, which to me is a good indicator of a good ship, if I don't like flying against it. So it's not really a ship, but it is Federation, and it is a lot of fun. So that's my choice for this week. So thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Greetings, Warp Core Breach listeners. This is Bane of Borg. Top Federation ship that I like playing in OPs is the USS Enterprise E Sovereign class. 32 point. It has an attack 5, agility 1, hull 5, shield 5. It's got a crew 2, tech 1, weapon 2. Front arc 90, rear arc 90. Scan, battle, station, evasion, and lock. The movements are pretty good. Not quite as good as the Voyager, but we have a 1 forward, which is great. It's green. We have a 3 green. We have a 5 white, and then a red 6 forward, and then we have a 1 reverse red. Maneuverability, actually, we have the 90-degree turns of 3, so that's pretty good as well. I think overall, against bio ships, Borg, Klingon, the Scimitars, those type of things, you can outfit this ship recommended with a Jean-Luc Picard starter to give you that extra action so you can utilize battle stations. You can get a Sulu on this thing to give it a couple more agility, so it takes it to 3. Definitely use its ability about firing a torpedo without a target lock, but placing an auxiliary power token as its cost. Keeping a photon torpedo for a rear attacking weapon, so you have a 90 front and 90 backwards attack. The maneuverability, the 10, 5 hull, 5 shields, keeps it competitive in the environment where you're not going to get a one-shot kill from a Borg, let's say, or a bioship, anything like that, or even a Scimitar. So it can hang with the big ships of the other factions. It has some offensive firepower at 5. You can augment this with a close range or supplemental crew cards. Given that Picard action, you do a Picard or do Spock to give it the extra action. Spock can give you a target lock, and then you can use the ship's battle station to give it that really high-quality attack dice. That's how I would kind of outfit this thing to keep it competitive on the same level as the others. So don't usually play Federation. I play against a lot of Federation. So hopefully this helps. This is Bane of Borg signing off. Thank you.
This is Stephen Vanderventer from Da Vinci's DreamWorks 2 in Jensen Beach, Florida. My top Federation ship has got to be the USS Equinox. I don't know what it is about this ship. It's only my 3rd favorite ship in Star Trek in the first place, but ever since it came out, I've always used it. I've tried to work at least each card in there once. Even Captain Maxwell Burke, all the crew. I used Marla Gilmore when she first came out. I still try to use the EMH at times and Rudolph Ranson when I'm doing defensive builds, but I've always just had like a drawn to the ship. And I think each time I look at it, when a new wave comes out, there's something in each wave that brains out a little bit more of the ship. So to me, like every time I look at a Federation ship, it's the one that just seems to keep getting better and better the more stuff that comes out for Federation. So I always look towards it. Any blind booster or LE that comes out, there's usually something that seems to be very interesting that I could put on it. Right now, I install, a lot of people are doing cool core builds. I did one with Captain DeSoto, Hood Riker, Shelby, and Tom Paris. Love improved deflector screens on it, as well as multi-adaptive shields. And just in general playing it. Little small ships are very fun to me. It has a lot of slots. Its ability seems very useful. Fighters work really well beside it for using the squad leader to help me utilize a cool captain as well as the ship ability. I've used as a torpedo boat, a cloaker before. It's just a fun ship. But other than that, I don't know why I'm drawn to it so much. I should be liking the Sovereign, but oh well. Equinox it is. Night, guys.
I'm Goat.
This is Brian.
This is RJ. And we're from Red Maneuvers, and this week's question is favorite Fed ship.
Top favorite.
It
doesn't matter.
Same thing.
I don't play Fed.
Top, I think, means, most competitive. Favorite is that one thing that I played that one time that was really awesome.
Yeah. I am going to choose Deep Space Nine as my favorite Fed.
That is a good one. For reasons that are Deep Space Nine.
Right, it's Deep Space Nine. I recently, for all of you that don't
that is like
play,
your favorite ship.
Right now, that is my favorite ship.
And the nice
in
thing is
game.
it gives you 4 factions.
Right.
So it does.
Faction Pure Store, I get 4 factions out of one ship. That is my favorite ship.
And it gives him
right
2
now.
of his favorite. It gives him
Bajoran?
Dominion and Bajoran.
Oh my, I hate Bajoran.
Well, you play it so well, though,
I know.
and you do it so many times.
All right.
Such finesse.
What do you got, RJ?
I'm going to go with the Voyager. It's got a lot of adaptability.
Yeah.
It has a 360 firing arc at range 1 to 2, so it's semi-Borg, only with maneuvers. It has a lot of upgrade potential, decent point cost, and good survivability.
It turns like a Buick, though.
It does turn like a Buick.
Well, with
But
the Q Grand Prize.
Well, that
helps.
also
Yeah.
helps, but the fact that it has the 360 firing arc at range 1 to 2 helps.
Doesn't really matter.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And it's got a
decent amount of attack dice, too.
Yeah, it's got a backward firing arc, too.
All right, I like the Enterprise E.
Why don't you two just jump on the wagon?
Which wagon?
The oh, look at me, I'm so popular wagon. I mean,
So popular.
You picked the 2 ships that
That are good.
Yeah, they're the best 2 ships in the fleet.
I think the question was top, sir.
Okay, all right. Enterprise.
But I
E.
like the E because I can run torpedoes and not need target locks, and that gets me around cloak, it gets me around monotanium armor, and it also means I can use my target lock to reroll my 7 or 8 attack dice.
Also came with that real bad boy turret
dorsal.
weapon, the dorsal.
Yeah, but if you read the wording on it, it actually says torpedoes. It does not say photon torpedoes.
Right.
So you can run quantum, you can run transphasic, you can run it.
You can't run transphasic, that's Voyager only.
Oh, well, never mind then. You can run the good ones.
You can run close. It works for me.
And you can shoot on cloak ships, which makes them sad.
That is true.
That is very sad for them.
All right, what you got? Anything? Anything
where I
else?
had mine.
No,
Nope.
we're done. All right, have a good one.
Have a good one.
Hi everyone, I'm not Picard, but I do like flying Federation ships, and the ship I seem to use the most often, almost without question, is the Voyager. I think Voyager has a pretty good balance between attack, defense, and its survivability and hull and shields. And you can stack upgrades on it because it's got 3 crew slots. Fleet captains, you can make it 5 crew slots. It's got the tech slot, which is all important, especially with systems upgrade. It means you can get an extra one. And I think the more I play, the more I use transphasic torpedoes. Yes, they're a 10-point discard, but with quality, which you can get through various methods in faction, they become a nightmare for people to deal with on a ship that's very difficult to shoot down before it gets to fire. So, USS Voyager, the Federation ship I play with the most, and probably my favourite too. Thanks for listening.
Good day, everyone. This is Dan from Kenosha, Wisconsin. My vote is for the Sovereign E. It gave us our first 5-dice Federation ship to compete against those evil Klingons, and there are several ships with 5 dice. If you face ships that are cloaked, you can shoot torpedoes at it, and then go right to the hull, which, I'll be honest with you, you can use standard torpedoes that get you an automatic crit, or you can put on crew that'll get you and convert to crits. You're able to launch torpedoes at a cloaked ship and force crits right to it, and hopefully bring down the ship's abilities with some critical hits and force that ship to get uncloaked, so now you can hit it with shields. I really feel that's an underrated ability for that ship that a lot of people don't take advantage of. That is my opinion as to what the top Federation ship is on retail. This is Dan from Kenosha saying fly safe and shoot straight.
This is Chris from Tangerine Alert. My favourite Federation ship has to be the brick-flying USS Enterprise D. Flies like a brick, but it was the most iconic ship, I'd say, from anything post the original series. It's what everyone looks for when they start a game like this. Its secondary ability was, well, still is devastating, and it's only sort of in the last year anything's come out to replace it. And I'll be honest, with the new tech upgrades that have recently come out, I'll probably be playing it again soon. So that's my favourite ship, my favourite Federation ship, the USS Enterprise D.
Kirk to Enterprise.
Spock here.
Captain Spock, damage report.
Admiral, if we go by the book, like Lieutenant Savick, hours could seem like days.
I read you, Captain. Let's have it.
The situation is grave, Admiral. We won't have main power for 6 days. Auxiliary power has temporarily failed. Restoration may be possible in 2 days. By the book, Admiral.
Meaning you can't even beam us back?
Not at present.
Captain Spock, if you don't hear from us within 1 hour, your orders are to restore what power you can, take the Enterprise to the nearest starbase and alert Starfleet Command as soon as you're out of jamming range.
Sir, we won't leave you behind.
Uhura, if you don't hear from us, there won't be anybody behind. Kirk out.
Warp core breach in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4,
This is Nick.
3,
And this is David.
2,
Ejecting the
1.
core.
Warp core ejected.
Warp Core Breach is produced by Nick Norris and David Montgomery, with additional content from our contributors. Our computer is voiced by Corinne Donnelly.
Warp Core Breach is not endorsed, sponsored, or affiliated with CBS Studios Incorporated or the Star Trek franchise. All Star Trek trademarks and logos are owned by CBS Studios Incorporated.
All sound files are used under Creative Commons 3.0 by attribution. For specifics, please visit our Facebook page by searching Warp Core Breach Podcast. If you want to contribute to the show, let us know on the Facebook page, or you can email us at warpcorebreachpodcast@gmail.com.
Sir, we won't leave you behind. That's decent.
Fun, anyway.